everyone. I'm Jillian Sidoti, and this is my partner in crime, Jeffrey Holston. This is the Last Life Ever podcast, where we hope to help you live the best version of your life, whatever that may mean to you. Jeff, who do we have on the show today?
Well, me and you. You and me. Together forever.
Oh, as friends should be.
Yeah, I know. No, we have an amazing guest today, actually. Jessica Russsell, who's a hypnotherapist and an expert at that and all sorts of other things related to that. So rather than talk about her, though, maybe we should just bring her on. What do you think?
Sounds like a good idea.
Help me, my brother, can you lend me a hand as I walk through this land of confusion? If we give to each other, then there's nothing to take. Let's live life for the moment before it slips away.
Hello, Jessica Dawn Russsell. How are you?
I'm good. I loved it.
Oh, good.
I'm so
glad.
relaxed now.
That's actually original music. So,
Who
it's
did
true.
it?
Jillian did.
Oh, my husband did this.
Really?
Yeah, we talk
Oh,
about this a lot because guests always ask that. So from now on, we're going to require people to actually listen to the song before we do it.
So we can get
just get that part over with.
I think this subject is fascinating for the new year. Like, it's hypnotherapy. And I am one person who I've done one hypnotherapy session and I interrupted myself the entire time. It was like I wouldn't let myself get hypnotized or whatever. I don't know what it is. I'm kind of interested, what your approach is to hypnotherapy and who do you recommend it for?
okay. I feel that hypnotherapy is really good for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of misconceptions about it, and it really does depend on who somebody is going to go see, and you want to see somebody who's really qualified. And there are some highly educated people in the field, including myself. And I do this to myself to make sure that I excel and I'm the best in it. But I can steer any of your listeners the right direction if it's something that you think that they want to do. And then I have a couple of offices in Los Angeles, California, that maybe we can help them as well. But it's for people who actually have disease, they have mental illness, cancer, it's used a lot, drug addiction or other addictions, anxiety.
How do you use it? I could see it for the anxiety and the drug addiction, but how do you use hypnotherapy for cancer?
Okay, so hypnotherapy is like the top of the umbrella. There's different types of modalities that are part of hypnosis. Hypnotherapy is hypnosis and a combination of what mental health professionals or people in the industry say CBT, which is talk therapy that most, therapists will do if you go to a licensed marriage and family and so forth. So we kind of mix in all these modalities depending on what the person is coming to see us about versus the strengths and weaknesses in that person. And so usually what happens is in the first conversation, if there's a consultation and their first visit, we'll speak with them, let's just say for about 30 minutes out of the 45 or, 30 out of the hour, and we'll get to know them and get to know what's really bothering them. So we have material to use to try to help them. So when you say you wouldn't let yourself get into hypnosis, when someone rebels against us or somebody happens to have a hard time focusing, they're nervous, or they're trying really hard because they don't want to let us to get to know them, that's the best for us. And that is a sure way for us actually to get you easier into hypnosis. So I'm not sure who you went to, but you would be perfect material at that point for any hypnotherapist.
Well, let's do an experiment. Let's see if we can. Just joking.
So I'll be honest. Like, my exposure to hypnosis in general is rather limited. When I was I don't know, 12, 13, 14, something like that, I read this book that I bought at a garage sale for $0.25 on hypnosis. It was purple. If you know what book that is, that'd be great. It's like it's the only book that I don't have in my list of books that I've read. I cannot figure out what the name of the book was, and it drives me crazy because I have a list of every book I've ever read my whole life except for this one book. And that's actually why I wanted to bring you on. So what was the book?
A purple book? Well, there's a blue book and a red book. And the red book is like
a blue pill and a red pill. Oh my gosh.
But I do remember, like, it was really fascinating. I mean, I don't know, it was a paperback book. It was probably like, from the 70s or something, because, I bought it at a garage sale in the 80s. But anyway, neither here nor there. But it was interesting because they talked about, like, using hypnosis to treat, like, warts and stuff, and, like, how there were studies that said that you could do that. And I was like, that makes no sense. As a kid, I had a hard time wrapping my head around that. But it seems like those studies are real, because I Googled them later and I was like, it turns out that stuff works. So how does that work?
There's tons of studies. I mean, hypnosis goes back like thousands of years. It kind of, goes back to the core of what we all are. Or if you want to make it simple, we could even say it goes back to the time of the dinosaurs. But it's taking you back to the core. And instead of using a lot of methods that are based on talk and going back and forth in conversation, which in my opinion, it's not for everyone when you go to a traditional therapist, because our resistances are so high. You're using also methods that may be old, but it's based on talk. Hypnosis is not even meditation. It's a higher level. And so even self-hypnosis is not as strong, because you really have to be a structured person and allow yourself to go there in order for these two types of processes to work properly. And I know there's thousands and thousands of books that are out there, but with hypnosis, you have studies that from Harvard, you have Mayo Clinic, you have, all over the world, extremely valid studies. There's tons of them. I will tell you, in my opinion, shortly, I believe the reason why hypnosis is not so open and widespread is because the mental health professionals try to keep it more of a secret, because it would be their money breaker and it would be other people's money maker. There is a lot of psychiatrists that are hypnotherapists. Now, first of all, most people who do hypnosis are not hypnotherapists, or what I am, which is a CHT, which is really the higher and the most educated of, formally trained clinical hypnotherapists. And so you can go online and you can buy a certification for $49.99 or take a weekend course. I had to have an extra 1.5 years, and I had to have hundreds of extra hours of pro bono work in order for me to even get out of school. So it's not always easy. So by the time you get out, you have to know your stuff. So to get back to your question, there's different types of hypnosis. Like some people work with energy or Reiki. Some people work with what we call imagery. Imagery is extremely powerful, and that works with a lot of disorders and cancer. So what happens is when you're talking about cancer, and I'll even say we can put the warts in there or something of that magnitude, it's because our body, and this is hard for a lot of people to take, but I think during COVID, we've learned to understand science a little bit better. And as a world, we're kind of understanding this more, is that our body has to work with our mind. It's that mind-body experience. If your mind is not functioning well, you're too tired, you're stressed out, you'll start babbling, or you'll not really be productive in the way that you're used to, because your body is not functioning properly, or vice versa. If you're sick, you have a cold, or there's something really wrong, then it affects your mind and then how you do things in your life and your decision making and so forth. And we were talking a little bit earlier about NLP, but that has a little bit more with NLP, and NLP is part of hypnosis, but it's a different modality, which is an amazing modality, which a lot of people cross over in the professional environment with NLP and sports, people, athletics and so forth. But it really depends on what kind of hypnotherapist there is. I'm more of a conservative one. I work with people who do have a lot of disorders, medical conditions. Most of what we have wrong with us seems to go back to not the cause, but symptoms. And most of the symptoms happens to be contributed to stress or anxiety. If you can release stress and anxiety, which are two different things, then most likely you can kind of subside depression, and other things lead to depression. And it's all about working. Now, this is going to get strange to some people, your brain. We're kind of like living in this home at this lifetime, but we're not really clear what we are. We're just renting this shell that we see when we look into the mirror, and it's housing all the stuff that makes us function. And, the truth of the matter is, I tell some of my clients who may think I'm a little off or crazy, and I take my time to explain these things, because if you would have asked me these things about 10, 15 years ago, if you listen to how I speak today, I would think I was really weird, because hypnosis, to a degree, it takes, a decent understanding. A lot of people are familiar with it because it's extremely good to stop smoking. And so in the generalized public, that's kind of what they know, or they may see it at a stage show or something like that. And stage hypnosis is totally different. But, if we can understand what we are and who we are, and understand a little bit about that mind and the body connection, then we can understand how we can make ourselves function better and stay healthier. I'm also an integrative therapist. And so, I'm very much into that, because of the fact that if you don't know who you are, it's hard to just basically build who you want to be in your life. And it wards off illnesses and everything from, say, the common cold to a disease, if you understand how to take care of yourself, your mind, and your body. And this is something that most of us don't know anything about, or we just take advantage because we wake up in the morning and we go on with our day by day by day.
Okay, so I have to stop you here.
Yeah, I ramble.
No, it's totally fine. But
that was great.
But isn't it true that hypnosis is from the devil?
Oh yeah.
No, I remember this when I was a kid. It was like, you can't do Dungeons and Dragons and you can't do hypnosis. Like those two things. I was going to go straight to hell if I did either of those. So that made me want to do them both, of course, which is why I was buying books on hypnosis for $1 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, some of the older books are the best books. There's really an interesting process, because the older people in the mental health professional areas, they know about hypnosis. They studied it more back in the day than people who are going to mental health school to be licensed marriage and family psychologists, psychiatrists. They don't get into that. They get very limited into the studies of the brain and how it works with what we use a lot, which is what hypnosis is based on, and even to a degree meditation. That's the subconscious and the conscious part of the mind. The subconscious is like the devil, and the conscious part is the angel. The devil is like the sponge that soaks everything in, and it's negative. And the angel is positive and tries to get everything back in your head into sync, but it's fighting. And so I don't want to get too complicated, but that is a part of what we have to deal with when we're working with a client. And when you're talking about, it's funny, the angels and the devils, there is nothing really like that. But I mentioned earlier regarding imagery, it's just basically what it sounds like. It's the imagination of how to turn something around. So if someone comes to me and they want to do imagery, and let's just say they're dealing with trauma, I try to get them to a particular point in the session, and it basically shows me that they're ready to get deeper into this process. And I may do something that involves imagery, which is very relaxing for the client because you can see that I like to talk. So hypnotherapists who talk a lot are the best because they can keep this going. It's like sex that never ends, right? So it's better and better. But they we get paid very good money. So it's like you want to make sure that you have someone can just keep talking and talking, because you're basically acting. You're putting them in a situation where in their imagination, with the conscious and subconscious part, they are not recreating, but they're taking something that's bothering them that's negative, or something that's a challenge for them. And you're recreating images in their mind and maybe setting something up like, recreating just a day at the beach. And if their life is terrible, but they enjoy going to the beach, you start putting a lot of metaphors and you start putting circumstances that pertain to that person's life into going and having a relaxing day at a beach in this beautiful beach house and blah, 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 blah. And just watching the client, whether it's online or if it's in the office, I can read the cues and see what's going on with them to see how their body and their mind is responding to the process. So when you're dealing with someone, for example, with cancer, we never say we cure, but there's a lot of studies, cancer, leukemia, a lot of circumstances that are very, very harsh on somebody's life. One of the reasons that makes cancer spread is the fact that they're dealing with very high anxiety and depression, which is something that kind of creates the cells to change. But the cells can change over if the person is more relaxed, and they can alleviate a lot of the tension and anxiety. So if somebody is happier, their body responds better, and it starts taking the negative, the bad, or the old, and it has the ability to kind of change it over and repair. The body constantly repairs if you give it the tools that it needs to do that. And so with a hypnosis program for some kind of a strong illness, it's very possible that this can aid in helping somebody in rehabilitation or getting better. They're so worried about everybody else, they forget about themselves. So they need to kind of decompress. And
well, I can tell you this, right? So I was diagnosed with leukemia about 10 years ago, and you worry, at least for me, I worried more about my wife than I did myself, right? Like I was worried about how other people were going to react to me being sick. And then you start trying to like minimize the fact that you're sick rather than like, deal with it, because you're like, well, I don't want other people to be worried. So I'm going to be like, oh yeah, no worries. Right. But, it's tough. I mean, like those kind of things, they do cause stress. Now, I have my own ways of dealing with things, but that's another topic for another day. But I do feel like that it is interesting, the relationship between your brain and the physicalness of your body, right? Because everything that we experience happens from our brain, right? Like, you don't feel if your brain's not working, you don't see if your brain's not working, you don't hear if your brain's not working. So really,
we don't think of it.
Yeah, everything we experience happens right there. Like everything. It doesn't matter, if it's good, bad, negative. It's all happening in our head. So it is kind of interesting.
And it transfers down to the body. It transfers to the blood, and it transfers to the body. But the truth of the matter is, if someone is not raised to understand this, or they don't have a reason to really get involved with this kind of thought, they don't really know these things. And so that's where I guess some people feel hypnosis is holistic medicine or alternative and so forth. That's where some of these particular types of, we can use different words, processes or treatments or some type of modalities are different than our so-called westernized medicine. You go back to natural and nature and all of that, and you heal yourself better because you have to deal with yourself. But the problem is just most people really don't know how to purge the stress and aggression, and we tend to make up a lot of stories in our own head. And when you start making stories in your own head about the severity of an experience that we went through, to each its own. Everybody thinks differently. Everybody's brain is different, but one person's trauma may make someone else giggle because they say, are you kidding me? This is what's been bothering you all your life. It's not a big deal. I can solve it in 10 minutes. Whereas another person has spent 10 years trying to get rid of the thought. But if they understand how to work this within themselves, then they can release it. And this is the problem. And especially kids today, with COVID and everything going on.
And you're saying that hypnotherapy can help with this process. Like, what do you feel like after you've done the hypnotherapy? Is there work to be done between hypnotherapy sessions, or is the hypnotherapy session it?
You need to take your own personal responsibility after you go through hypnosis and try to use some new words, give yourself some self-care, look at things differently. Every morning when you wake up, you start thinking of, newer words to use, lovelier thoughts, calming things that may not be your natural tone and behaviors of words that you would say, like, be grateful. Right now people are getting sick and we all know what's going on. When you wake up in the morning, instead of complaining because it's cold and, the sun is not shining when you first get out of bed, you've already predestined your mind to start a path of where you're going to take your day. It's most likely going to be negative because you've already told yourself, oh God, it's freezing. It looks like it's going to be a horrible day. The weather is ugly outside and all of that stuff. That's starting the damage already. And it's already affecting your day. If you wake up and you give a little bit of gratefulness and you say, thank God I have another day. Look at this. I'm waking up. Yeah, we got to go to the bathroom and pee. But, thank God we can get up. We can walk. We can, go to the restroom and enjoy whatever the outside will bring, or the house that we have, or whatever, children. We just have to work on the way that we think of things. That's the responsibility after hypnosis.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's actually, that really resonates with me right now because of a couple things. Well, one, which I doubt about me, I have this thing where I don't have bad days. I gave them up when I was 17. And so I'm always just looking for positive. I believe good and bad happens to everyone every day, and you just have to focus on the positive and not the negative. And I've been doing some research into how this works lately, and I'm reading this book called Hardwiring Happiness. And the thesis of the book, and it's a great book, people should read it. Essentially exactly what you're saying, that you should just take a moment at different points during the day to just sort of wallow in the positive thing that's going on, whatever that might be. Yeah. Like you woke up. So just take a second, 2-3 seconds and say, oh, I woke up. This is good. Right. Because it does two things. One is it frames your day. Right. And then the other thing it does, and this is where the neuroscience comes in. It's like a muscle in your brain. It's like you're constantly rewiring
the serotonin and everything starts.
Yeah. And the neurons that fire the most create more neurons in that region. And then pretty soon that region of positivity just has more and more positive in it. And you really essentially hardwire yourself to just be happy. And I thought it's fascinating. I mean, I'm not done with the book, so maybe it's terrible, but the beginning of the book is really good, and I would recommend it.
It's done some good for you because you used an NLP word, which is, to just rewire, that's basically what you have to do. You got to catch yourself and you have to just switch, you have to switch it over. So you go from a potential negative to a positive, because a lot of times what we have a tendency of doing with everybody that we speak with, whether it's on a social level or on a business level, even with ourselves, which is, we are our worst enemies, is that we assume, we have assumptions, we know answers, or we have an assumption how the other person is going to act or whatever, and so you have to kind of take a deep breath and step out of that circle and just give yourself a couple of moments before you judge, or you finish someone's sentence, or you feel that you know what the next move of that person is, because to be honest with you, you don't, nobody does. And we just assume. When we assume, we're basically sabotaging ourselves, and we're creating stories in our head. And, this is, on a logic part, not a clinical thought, but it's just, this is how people make themselves mentally crazy, because when you keep, telling yourself something, you start believing it. So when you catch yourself doing these strange things, or, these routine things, you've got to break it and do the opposite. So the book that you're reading seems very interesting, and it's kind of going.
I'll send you the info about it.
Okay, sounds cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's
okay.
Awesome.
Jillian, so we have to wrap up in a few minutes here. So what I would like to do, and something that we've never done before, we have a few. We're not quite done, but we are going to have to wrap up here in a little bit. So something we've never done before, Jillian. Are you okay with this? I'm going to call this rapid fire questions. We're going to go in alternating order. So start thinking of your first question, Jillian, and we're going to ask short questions, and you're going to give us the shortest possible answer, and we're going to see what happens. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a new thing. So is it true, Jessica Dawn Russsell, that some people cannot be hypnotized?
No.
Are you sure?
It's
Absolutely.
my turn.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jillian. Your turn.
What is the best thing we should be looking forward to in 2021?
Gratefulness, and know that anything is better than 2020.
The correct answer is hindsight is 2020. Or 2020 is hindsight. Both of those are true. I've been waiting for like a year to do that joke. Actually, I didn't. I started saying it like a year ago. But all right, my turn. So you said you have clinics and you do stuff online as well. If someone wants to hire you, how do they do that?
Okay, so I am also the founder of the NLP and Hypnotherapist Association of America. You can go to that website. Well, I hope so. What I really like to do is I like to give people training and really help them understand where we are going in the future with all of this. And so I train, and I have lectures, I have seminars. Right now, because of COVID, we're not doing any of this stuff. It's podcasting, which I think is amazing, and online studies, so forth. Or somebody can contact me. I have a co-ownership in the the hypnotherapy centers. There's 3 locations in Los Angeles, Encino, and in Beverly Hills. And then they can email me at the THEHTC office@gmail.com. So I do travel.
Jillian, put that up for us.
I am.
Okay, good. So we're going to put that up right now. Yeah.
You guys have the email, but it's,
I know we're really behind.
I can be found.
That's it right there, right?
Yes, the HTC. Okay, my question is, what can somebody do hypnotherapy remotely, or must you be in person one-on-one? Or can you Zoom it and be COVID friendly?
Absolutely. Yes, yes,
wow.
and yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If the person who's doing the hypnosis really knows how to do it, they can definitely do it online.
Okay,
it's not
I'm going to
cheapening it, or
because Jeff took my second question, so I'm going to go for a second question. Should somebody who's coming into hypnotherapy come prepared with a subject, or is that for you to determine before you do the actual hypnotherapy, or do you determine that during the hypnotherapy?
To be honest with you, a good hypnotherapist goes beyond 101. And so a lot of times what happens is someone will come into your office and they'll start talking, and they think they're coming in for one reason. And you're like, I don't think this is really what the problem is. I think this is the problem, which will lead to the problem. A lot of times people think, a symptom is the core. You have to, in hypnosis, get rid of the core first. I look at it like an artichoke, the core in the middle, all the leaves get tighter and tighter. Those are all the symptoms. If you get the core healthy, then the leaves will fall off.
Nice.
And it's faster and more effective than traditional talk therapy. There's lots of studies out there that prove that. So,
all right.
It's not coming from me.
So Jillian, we're going to do 2 more questions each. Okay.
Okay.
So start thinking. All right. So my next question is, it's a 2-part question, since that seems to be the way we're doing it. Are you familiar with aphantasia? Do you know what aphantasia is?
No.
Okay. So aphantasia is the inability to form mental images. So some subset of the population has no internal mental imagery. That subset of the population includes this subset of the population. Like, it's blank in there. So do you think you said already that everyone can be hypnotized, but I mean, certainly it would be difficult for me to do, say, like, image work, right? Because I don't have images. Yeah. So do you think it would be a problem? Like, so what would you do if someone walked into your office and was like, I can't see anything in my head. What should we do? Can we fix it?
Okay, so you may, well, it will take a little bit more time to do that. I'm not saying we can fix it, but you work on other sentences. You're familiar with NLP, so you work with other auditory and you work with other certain senses. So it's like when you have something like that going on, and there's a lot of people who have this situation, you work in other directions, and then you get to that point, and then you start working on that if that's something that the client wants to work with. But it's not only based on images. It has nothing to do with that. You have a memory, and you have functionality, and so you're a good candidate for hypnosis. Imagery is only one modality, but it's a very effective modality that could be used with a lot of circumstances. So that's,
okay.
A properly trained hypnotherapist knows many. I'm certified in about like 35-ish or whatever, higher ranking, and I went to a special school. So I probably know definitely more than a lot of people going out into the world in this, but it has nothing to do. Some people can't smell, some people can't see color when they do imagery or see visions at all, but that's coming from a different situation.
Sure.
We'll talk about that.
No, that's fascinating. Go ahead, Jillian.
Yeah, I just feel like you're really in tune, kind of empathic, Jessica, on these things, and understand how people are out there suffering right now. And if people, like, let's just say, for example, there's a lot of people who right now cannot afford hypnotherapy.
Right.
So what would you recommend for them in this time of COVID? What should they be doing to, like, kind of self-soothe or self-parent, or however you want to word it?
Okay. So I'm in Los Angeles, and I am like in Los Angeles. So because of my profession, and, we have the ability to kind of go around, and I have offices. Not everybody has that. And most of the people have been locked down for almost a year. Yeah. So we are really suffering in Los Angeles, in California in general, just like other areas of the United States. So what happens is I think what everyone needs to understand is they need to give themselves some credit. Don't be so hard on yourself. Rich people have lost everything. Poor people who never had may have it a little worse off. Some people never had, were able to fortunately get a little bit of money, and hopefully they'll be able to use some of that to put it to good use to do whatever goal or whatever they wanted to do towards their life. And so right now we're all kind of, as we say in that cliche, in this together. And we have to remember that there's no shame in asking for help or, taking things a little slower. Our lives are all slow right now. And so we have the time to reboot, rethink, and regress a little bit on what we may have done in a way that you wish would have been done differently. And if it was worth to try to do it again, or just try to start something new. Because I think a big part of our world as we knew it a couple years ago will never come back. And we're going into another direction now. And so it's all about reinventing yourself. For people who can't afford hypnosis, the prices for hypnosis are all over the place, depending on what state you live in and so forth. In some states, a clinical or certified hypnotherapist does have the ability to bill under insurance. It depends on what state you're living in. In California, you cannot in most circumstances. And so there's other options. And if somebody really would like to have an opportunity to work with the hypnotherapist, if you send your information to the email and provide your phone number, and I'll have someone contact you, we'll find out where you are, and maybe I can get some people to do some pro bono work with them online.
That's so great.
But yeah, but I think people should experience it and look at it differently, because I will tell you, before I got into this, I actually started to go through my study program because of NLP. And I decided to get more into the educational part with hypnosis, and I implement it for business purposes with executives and how they do their models for how they build up their human resource, and just with individuals, with children. It's extremely good for children. They love it. It's 100% safe. It won't mess you up. We're not going to control your mind or any of that crazy stuff. But there are some people who are more conservative like me, and there are some people that are more out there, depending on, what someone's personal character is and so forth. But you want to go with a CHT or somebody who had graduated from a really prominent learning institution, or I'll just say, if not that, because, there are not tons of hypnotherapists that are out there, go with a hypnotist that has some strong credentials, and they're either licensed or they're certified, and they have insurance. If they have insurance, they're usually a lot more serious on their craft, and it's not like a little part-time or, something they do on the side. You want to go to somebody who's professional, knows what they're doing.
So I'm going to break in here, Jillian. I will hypnotize you anytime you want. I've read that book when I was 12. I think I've got it down.
Pass. Hard.
Okay. Probably a wise choice. Probably a wise choice. Okay. So we each have one question left, Jillian. You better make it a good one.
It was funny because Jessica actually answered my last question, but I have another.
I talk so damn much.
So
I have another question.
No, the good news is it's not your turn, so you have time to ask your other question. But if you want to go ahead of me, you go right ahead.
Yes, okay. Jessica, the one thing I always have a hard time with is the term NLP, because I only know, and for those of you that don't know, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, right? So the only time I've been introduced to NLP is in a sales situation where people are using it to manipulate a sales situation. And so I always think about sales NLP when you're talking about why, instead of saying the cost is, the investment is, like things like that. So please explain to me and to our audience how you can use NLP for your own self in improving your life.
Okay, so NLP was really populated by Anthony Robbins, but for the longest duration, he never said what it was, because people would think he's weird and out there, right? So he masked it, and he just kind of put on his show, and he did his thing. So now as we come closer into time, what happened is that became like the rich man and the corporate or the business person's type of method that they received usually in their companies to learn how to skill and learned how to master the deal. So now what happens is the concepts are the same in working with the common person versus working in the business situation. Obviously, working in a business situation is higher level, but when you're dealing with an individual, I talk so much. I apologize. You are basically teaching the concepts. Like I said, it's like very simple because you're using your sense, you're using your eyes, you're using your ears. A lot of people's perceptions, a lot of their pain and drama that turns to trauma, and a lot of things in regards like regular relationships has to do with tonality. If I said something in a way and I wasn't looking at you, but you saw a glimpse when I said specific words, you can take it differently if it was said in a different tone. And if it was said a second time in a very different tone, then it wouldn't sound so bad. And if you see somebody's face, which we're used to doing is when we're like one-on-one, we can kind of judge what the person is saying and judge what the meaning is. And so that has to do with pre-assumptions. And so I don't want to make it complicated, but with NLP, you're basically using, your we call it vocab. So it's like we're using all of these different parts about us, the hearing, the tonality, voice, hearing, so forth, to try to figure out how to deal with people. So it could be for, work, it could be at the McDonald's, it could be, with your kids, your spouses. It's very effective, but it's a different kind of learning. We have like chunk up, chunk down, try to reframe. You use the word frame. Then there's reframe. You try to change something that is always the same and reframe it to something different. If there's something that bothers you and it's really haunting or negative or it has trauma, you try to put it in a different picture frame, a frame, and there's a process to this. So depending if it's in a office and you're having sessions, or if you're just doing this for yourself, it's not always the same, but there's certain terms and processes that work along with the NLP.
Nice. And Jillian, this is what Dr. Jamil was talking about when we had him on, right? He was talking about going back and looking at past things from your adult eyes instead of looking at them from your childhood eyes. You look at them from how you would respond to that situation now. And that's a form of NLP. I mean, you're reframing your situation. I don't want to say this. I'm not the expert, but does that sound right to you, Jessica? I mean,
yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
you can take something that's it's that artichoke theory. We're the core in the middle, and you have to loosen up the layers so they'll fall and just get eliminated from our life. And you can pick any word and you can say it different ways, and each way you say it, you can say it sweetly, kindly. You can say it in a rude way, and it's another person's interpretation. And then unfortunately, all of us have triggers. We use that word a lot. That brings us back to a time in our memory that really was hard on us, or it could be also a positive emotion, but it brings us back. And so if there's a word or how something is said or a loud voice or something, we have to learn within ourselves to try to eliminate those negative thoughts and purge it from our system. And so that's where it's like, it's hypnosis and NLP could help that. But NLP is more of lessons and training, and hypnosis is just something that, we get very interactive with you, and we kind of coach you, so to speak. Not so much training, but we give you sessions. And so somebody who wants to read about NLP, it's a little bit easier to help you work on your self-care and use some of those methods and modalities that are in a lot of the books that you can buy out there. A lot of it's repetitive because, we use the same words and
Sure.
sequences of
All right, so now I'm ready for the very last question since Jillian swapped questions with me. Thank you for that. The last is always best because
Blame it on Jillian.
we definitely saved the best for last here. I'm confident of this.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, this is going to be it. This is it. I'm telling you. Jessica, are you excited about this
Get it
last
over
question?
with.
Oh, absolutely.
See, she's excited about it, Jillian. She's excited. All right, so where do you see yourself?
I love this. You guys are great.
Thank you. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh my God.
Hey, I didn't say it had to be about her topic.
So you know about my background, and I've done a lot of changing in my background. My life is very like calm and a little bit more normalized these days. But in 5 years, I'm just happy that I'm here today. With all this stuff going on, we just have to stay happy and safe. 5 years from now, I'm an older mom of a 10 and a 12-year-old. I got 2 wild boys, and I love it because they're taking on the way I used to be. And, they keep me young and going, but I just want to do simple things now. I was able to do a lot in my life, and I'm grateful for that. And I didn't have a lot of gratitude then as I do for it now, but I enjoy helping people. And so I think at this part of my life, I just want to have good people in my life. I like to help as many people as I can. And I think that's kind of the direction that I'm in, and feel that, whenever I leave this place, that I've accomplished something and given back somehow to the people who have not been able to experience.
See, I told you it was the best question, Jillian.
I want to thank our guest today, Jessica Dawn Russsell, and you can email her at the did I get this right?
HTC
office at gmail.com. I'll put that up on the screen again here one more time, the HTC office gmail.com. Thank you so much, Jessica. I really appreciate it. Everybody else, we'll be right back.
Go! You know what I love most about Jessica? She's dancing in the background like this.
Oh, yeah. This is the thing. These kids know that I do Last Life Ever at 4:00 every Monday without fail. For whatever reason, all 3 of them have tried to break into this room.
I know. I was actually really happy to see Nick was running around, because like you said, he's been having trouble walking after his injury, and he looked pretty good. So
he walks like a duck, but he's made so much progress, especially in like the last couple of days. I'm very grateful for it.
He definitely looked better today than last time I saw him on camera.
Yeah.
So, of course, that might be because he got rid of like the leg brace thing that was holding his cast that was holding him in place, so he couldn't move. But
well, listen, that was awesome. That gave me a lot of pause on hypnotherapy. Very interesting. I might even look into trying it and seeing.
I told you I would do it for you. It's fun. I read a book about it. It'll be fun.
Yeah, when you were 12. That sounds great.
I'll read another book about it.
You can't even remember the name of the book.
I'll read a different book. It'll be fun. It was like self-hypnosis or something. It was something like that. It taught me like how to like make my arm go like this.
All right.
It was like this. Oh, kind morning. How kind of you to think of us. So, before we talk about kind morning, though, there is one thing I want to do.
What?
It was your birthday this week, Jillian.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. So right before the podcast, my middle son, Tommy, came running in because he said he had something for me. And it turned out it was Jeff's birthday gift to me.
Oh, are you excited about what you're going to get?
I am.
If you know why I sent this to you, I'll send you another one.
Hold on. Oh, no, I know what it is. I know what it is.
Wait, what is it? Go, don't look.
Oh, no, what is it? Fruit by the foot. Yay. Didn't we talk about this on a Last Life Ever happy hour?
We did actually talk about it right when the pandemic started. We were talking about how nothing was available in the stores, and I was like, well, they had fruit by the foot, so you don't need real fruit. I'll just get you some fruit by the foot. And I've been waiting ever since then to give you some stale fruit by the foot that I bought months ago.
Was this from March? Oh, look, it doesn't go bad till next October. So
yeah, that makes sense because it's got a long shelf life. It's fruit by the foot.
Oh, God, this stuff. Let's see.
I actually, in all fairness, I actually saw that like when I was Christmas shopping and thought I have to get this for Jillian right now.
This is like all the worst stuff for you. It's really
cool. Fruit, Jillian. It's many feet of fruit.
All right, everybody, listen up. We went way over today, so we want to get to this last part real quickly. We are going to start another Kind Morning Challenge. If you haven't done a Kind Morning Challenge before, it is a couple of things. It is, you're going to do a random act of kindness every single day. You're going to invest in yourself. And what we mean by invest in yourself is do something that isn't necessarily work related, but is truly for yourself, truly for your personal development. Maybe you go to a hypnotherapy session. Maybe you learn an instrument.
Right, but the goal is to do it every day. So hypnotherapy might get a bit expensive if you did it every day, just to be clear. Because but no, you should do that too. You could invest in yourself, work on your mental processes, right? And you could read books about NLP and do hypnotherapy.
Correct.
But 40 minutes a day of investing in yourself. So it's one random act of kindness. K is for kindness. I, invest in yourself. N and D are what, Jillian?
No distractions or no drinking.
I'm doing no drinking again.
I'm doing no drinking. And
it's really hard when you have a show that's centered around drinking, but I'm going to do it.
Yes.
40 days. Kind morning, 40 minutes investing in yourself. And then we're doing this for 40 days, right? Yes. So it's 40 days in a row of no drinking or no distractions. Like, I think Jillian's also giving up TV in favor of video games.
TV. Yeah, I know. And that sounds funny. But what I'm doing is I am going to play video games with my children because they enjoy it when I play video games with them. And I'm going to give up watching TV instead, because I don't want to be playing video games. And
what if you're watching your kids play video games? Does that count as TV?
I do that. I watched one of my kids play a video game today, which I will not mention because it will make me sound like a bad parent. And I said
it was Minecraft, right?
No, it was definitely not Minecraft. And I remember thinking, I cannot believe I let you get this game. Ugh.
Was it Fortnite?
I'm not telling you what game it is, and it wasn't Fortnite.
Oh, hey, good news, by the way. Veronica's in, except for she's going to keep drinking.
No, that's actually a huge improvement. Like, that's a huge improvement.
I know. The last time I saw Veronica, I got drunk with her. So it is a huge improvement.
Yeah, it's a huge improvement. So the thing that I struggled with last time, believe it or not, was the acts of kindness. And the reason why I struggled,
it was hard.
It was hard. And I'll tell you why it was hard. First of all, COVID restrictions make doing actual acts of kindness difficult. And then second, I just kept giving money away. Like, that's what I did. I did that for.
Well, that's because you were, in fairness, like, you live in Southern California, like, and we did this in the middle of I know you're still locked down, but it was a completely different kind of lockdown when we did the first kind morning, right?
This one's pretty bad, as Jessica said, she's in Los Angeles and the lockdown here is. But I think I found a solution, and I'm going to share everything that I do with you. This is called the Do One Thing Every Day to Change the World.
Nice.
Book. Yes, I found it. I found it at the $5 store, not to be confused with the dollar store.
So that actually costs more than your fruit by the foot, just to be clear. So you can send me that for my birthday.
It matches our branding. I like that.
It does. You should just claim we made it. It's our color.
Yeah, so. I made this book. It's pretty bad. And
just to be clear, by the way, Veronica, I know you're not a lush. I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just teasing when I said we got drunk last time. Although, in fairness, we did get drunk last time we were together. And by last time, I mean the only time we were together.
Okay, so the do one thing every day to change the world. And there's really, I love this because it's, first of all, and I'm actually going to go back to the store and see if I can get more of these, and I'll give them away on air.
If you can get more of them, I would like one. Otherwise, you're just going to have to take some pictures of a bunch of pages and assign me random acts of kindness.
Yes.
Because I literally had a hard time with that too. And I mean, I did some nice stuff, right? I mean, but that was the hard part, was a random act of kindness every day. Because if you don't interact with people, how do you do it?
Yeah, this is actually pretty interesting. Now, it starts with some things on voting. So I don't even know if you can probably, there's so much in this book, right? You could just pick something random. So like this first part is about voting. Did you vote? In 2016, only 56% of the voting age population went to the polls in the United States to cast their votes for president. Of the 32 most highly developed democratic countries, the United States ranked 26th in voter turnout. And then it says, it gives you choices. 1, you voted in the last presidential election. 2, did not vote in the last presidential election. Or 3, will vote in the next presidential election. And so it just gives you pause to think about some of these things. But like,
that's not a random act of kindness, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Well, except for on election day, it might be.
But no, then it goes on to talk about helping somebody registering to vote.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So then no one in the world needs a rhino horn but a rhino. Today, I vowed never to buy a product made of rhino horn and told others why. So see, that's where you're like doing some kind of, now you're doing.
And I'm a big fan, like that's good. Like you're taking a cause that you believe in, like not killing rhinos, which I also agree with, by the way. Seems like a solid cause. And what's even worse is killing them just for the horns, which is the biggest problem, right? You have people that just kill them, take the horns, and leave them. Yeah, and by the way, I don't know if you know this, Jillian, but I made a special effort 2020 to see a rhino in the wild. So I saw a rhino when I was in Africa this last year. So, but anyway, I think that's great. Like you pick something that you're a fan of, or not a fan of in this case, obviously, and then explain to other people why you're, for or against whatever that particular thing is.
Life is too short to be small. That's one of our things on our little intro video. Stop.
It is true.
A large gesture I made to protect the environment today, and then you kind of like journal about it. Or a large gesture I made to relieve poverty today.
Yeah, so you can give away money again. You just circled all the way around. So, all right. Well, anyway, get the point. So kind morning. K is for kindness, random act of kindness. I for invest in yourself, 40 minutes a day. Last time I did writing fiction 40 minutes a day and got a story published. Never had a story published in my life. Did kind morning, and all of a sudden I'm a published author. Just like that. Right? Then no drinking. I think that actually helped why I got published, because I was able to focus more, but it's also about no distractions, right? So if you're already not drinking, giving up drinking isn't really much of a thing, right? Or if you drink like once every 17 days, like, maybe you need to do something else. Me, I was drinking every day because it was the middle of a global pandemic. And then the last part, which we didn't talk about, is morning. And what is that about, Jillian?
You have to have a morning routine. So whatever that means to you. We were using Miracle Morning before. I think Miracle Morning has a lot of great,
well, we didn't use all of it. We did meditation, right? Like, so we have the meditation videos that are on our YouTube channel, and those are great. And we also were doing reading and journaling. So those are all, savers activities. Some people were doing all of the savers, of course. For me, my morning routine lately, or until this week when I've been really lazy, was walking with Jillian. We haven't been doing that. So it's a good thing we're about to start again next Monday, right? That's the point. We're going to start a week from today is going to be the start of the Kind Morning 40. And so I haven't been doing the walking as much. So don't tell. Shh. But I actually have added a morning routine at the beginning of the year as part of my new annual goals. And that is to go over my goals every single day. Read them out loud in the morning and at night.
Well, I think that is really helpful and very powerful, and I'm going to try to do that myself. I haven't quite gotten to where I need.
You got till next week.
But Also, everybody, we would love to keep you accountable. Just join us in the Facebook group. We'll keep you all accountable, and we'll do everything together. And
Yes,
we'll even tell you what times we're going to be doing our things. So if you want to join us virtually, you can. We'd love to have you. And I joined Jeff to get us back on those walks. I found my Fitbit.
Yay!
And I joined not one, not two, but 3 step bets.
Oh, you're killing me. I'm only in 1 step bet. Of course, I don't have a membership, but I'm going to, because I got to ramp up my steps if I want to get ready for the Kauai Half Marathon in September, which Jillian is making me do.
Oh my God. He always says that I'm making him do it, but he's been saying that for 6 months. He could have gotten out by now.
Well, you know why I say that, right? It's important to respect your elders.
Oh my God. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Jeff, do you want to remind anybody of anything?
Jillian's really old? No, wait, that wasn't it. Sorry. Oh, I remember. It's that thing you got wrong at the beginning of the show. Can we play that clip back a second? Oh, we don't have that ability. It's very important to what, Jillian?
Live the best version of your last life ever.